Hi.
Oh, that's sunny.
It is sunny. The sun on our faces. Wow.
Hello.
How are you
Morning.
doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. A
Yeah.
little tired.
A little tired.
But I'm caffeining. And hopefully I will wake up shortly.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So, today, did you have a good week so far?
Yeah.
It's Thursday.
It is. It's fast week.
It's a very fast week.
Yeah.
Some weeks are like, it's only Tuesday. Now it's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Then it's the weekend again.
A lot of work also at the moment. I'm just like planning to do that from like last week's topic, like doing like a habit guide.
Yeah.
And I was telling to Rika that okay, I want to start this week to make that guide, but like till today there was like just no time for it. So if you don't plan it, like put it into your schedule and feel like okay, I have 1 hour to do it.
Yeah.
It's quite tough to do it. So
Yeah.
it's just running by.
And there is a lot of work recently because we have a whole bunch of new members, and there's kind of like a common theme with these new members. And they're all such lovely women, the age from about, I would say, 38, I'm being really nice, 38 to, what would you say, about like 50?
Yeah, 50.
How many?
Probably.
There's like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah, it's great.
And yeah, it's really cool. And they're all very, I'm finding with the ones that I've worked with already, because they're all generally doing like our 3-month onboarding process. I see there's 3 of them that I can say have such good body awareness and know like the mechanics of their body. They know when I say, like bring your elbows up, right? They know what to do. And it's interesting for me because it's like, you might hear this and be like, oh, bring your elbows up. But so many people don't know their shoulder from their elbow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And but I'm seeing with all these women, it's like they have such great body awareness and they understand the mechanics and how their bodies move. So that's great.
Yeah.
Because today I thought we would talk about there's a couple of different topics and I think they'll kind of all bleed into one another, but the kind of overarching concept of like the long game and health, right? What we prioritize first and foremost here, at least, and what you and I so strongly value is health over PRing your back squat or your clean or finishing well under the time cap or something like that. We were just talking about it with your fiance who was in here like 5 minutes ago, talking about health and what we are trying to do and what we're so kind of like fundamental about in here is about health and getting your body to move correctly.
Yeah.
Safety before anything else, right? Then we talk about intensity, right? Then we talk about, all of that. But getting the body to move safely. So, the other day, you and I, we were talking about, using CrossFit as a tool, right? A tool for everything else that you do in the outside world. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So we were talking about that like CrossFit is a system, but not everyone is doing it the same way, and also like every maybe box or gym also having like maybe a different focus for members. So as you said, our focus is to be healthy and to be safe doing movements, right? So we use that like system CrossFit to teach people how to move. Let's say it like this. And why we're doing this intro sessions is that yes, we want to make sure that people are aware of how to move, but that they also understand like certain parts in your body moving, so that, as you said, like elbow is not the same as a shoulder, but they have to understand what the shoulder is doing while pushing the elbow up, right? So I think there are like certain movements everyone needs to be able to understand and to work with before going into a CrossFit class. So how to make sure that your core is tight and engaged? What does that mean? It's not just pushing your belly button in. There's also like a lot of things around that belly button which is going on. How to activate your shoulders, right? So you're not like doing pressing movements with our shoulders pushed forward. We need to understand how to bring them back and how to activate them. And that's why we use that intro sessions to teach members how to do that and to be safe in a class, right? And that's the system CrossFit. It can be different, but that's our focus, like first of all, before we bring people into classes, and then get more intensity in. But still what we try to do is having a focus for every member in every class. And that's just something we can do because we get to know them in our intro sessions.
Absolutely. I think it's really important to, to always, even before the athlete or the, member asks, or does it, we kind of answer the why. Why do we push our belly button? Why is bracing a thing? Why do we have to do it? Why is it so important? And I think, when we're able to answer those questions clearly and get the athlete to be able to execute it, and they understand, they can feel the difference, then we will reduce injury, right? So I want you, because you got a little bit fired up yesterday, which happens once in a blue moon.
It's not that often. I mean, maybe in my rooms, yes, in my flats, that can happen a bit more often, but usually. But
usually you're so you're so calm and composed, and which is the opposite of me, which is fiery and very passionate. Because I was an artist for so many years, but you got very, and still you are, very passionate about a current topic. And I want you to talk about that because you put it in your stories, but it was in German. And I understood through context, and I was like, ooh, she pissed. But I think it is so important to talk about, because it has so much to do with, our healthcare system, right? Doctors, what they are saying about CrossFit, right? I think this would be really valuable for people person that is listening to this, to understand why it's important to ask questions, to not take one doctor's words, follow your intuition, and be more communicative, right? Don't just take one answer and that's the Bible and that's what happened, blah blah blah. So I'm going to stop talking so you can kind of give a brief over of why you were upset and what you think about that.
I think, and that's not just about doctors or health system, that's also a misunderstanding in general, that a lot of people think that CrossFit is a sport you hurt yourself. So it's a sport which is not for health. It is more for competing. So when you do CrossFit, you have to compete. You're always on your max. You're always working with kipping movements. So you just demolish your shoulder, whatever. And that came from a situation that we had a member who hurt themselves in his calf, and actually it can be that it was while jumping a jump rope in a PT. Actually, he is doing PT sessions, but we also talked about it. He's also playing tennis, so we're not 100% sure where it came from. It could be something which just happened before. And he went to a doctor, and his doctor said that he's I kind of got it from a friend of him that he said like he's too old to do that sport. And I was really pissed because I felt like, okay, so first of all, he was not in a CrossFit class, which is not a huge difference, but he was doing PT. So we were much more personalized. Yes, he's going into a CrossFit box. But this like doctor was just saying a sentence, and then he wanted to cancel his contract because he was not like sitting down and talk to us and feel like, okay, what is the situation right now? What can we do? He just had the feeling like, okay, my doctor said I'm not able to do that sport anymore, so I have to cancel my contract. And it's not about like he wants to cancel his contract. It's about we want to help him to be fit. And his doctor is telling him he has to stop sports. But tennis is fine.
Right.
And that's something I'm pissed about because we care so much about health and like strong people. We want to make people strong and healthy and everything. And then there's like one doctor who doesn't know us. And he's like, don't do CrossFit, it's bad for you.
Right.
And that's not fine, that's not correct, and that's not the right way. So what is the option? Like, what should he do now? Nothing?
Right. Yeah.
Right? So he's just saying, stop it. Okay, what should he do? Right? So what is the other option? Going to a gym with no plan, doing movements without any guidance? That's not the option. And I'm pissed about that there's... and I'm just pissed about that there's a lot of like people still think like this, and I'm sure there are different standards in gyms, but it would be so great if someone is not sure about is that sport for me, instead of listening to one opinion. If you feel like you're interested in, then go somewhere and talk to someone, right? Go to a coach, go to that CrossFit box and ask what they do. Right. Do you have the feeling they're specialized, that want to do like a personal coaching? Great, do that. It will help you, right? It's not like you won't get out with shoulder problems. So that's the thing. I think that's like the theme of like CrossFit. You always have shoulder problems.
Yeah.
Yes, you have when there's no coaching and you don't know how to move.
Right. The take that from like, how I kind of sum it up in my head is, we've got these two different things here. We've got tennis, right, which is it. Or whatever sport you're playing, that the game that you like to play outside, whether it's football or American football, let's start talking about concussions, right? Rugby, these like hard contact sports, right? Baseball, what have you, injuries are going to happen, right? And what I'm looking at is, this person was coming here for PTs to kind of use PTs as a tool to strengthen his game, right? His, when he does his season of tennis, because I think he does some low end tournaments and whatnot, and he loves the game. He enjoys doing it. Yeah. So here you have a guy that loves doing something, right? But of course, and this is maybe where I'm taking issue, and what it seems like to me is that, well, I like tennis. I don't want to stop playing tennis. So surely the injury didn't come from that, because that means that I'm going to have to stop playing that game, right? But I can stop doing PT because maybe there's similar movement patterns, so surely that's where the injury happened. Whereas you're jumping in tennis, right? You're swinging your shoulders around, you're doing high movements, that same core to extremity movements as you would if you were doing like a snatch. It's just with a much lighter load because you're not under load, but you're still moving your shoulder very aggressively, repetitively, right? You're still jumping up and down. So whatever happened to his calf muscle, the doctor hears tennis, the doctor hears CrossFit. He's moving towards CrossFit as Xing it out because CrossFit is bad, and it has kind of garnered this, reputation of injury. Something else that we were talking about is that a lot of people that don't know CrossFit, that see the CrossFit Games and see the incredible athletic capacities of these individuals, because it's kind of it's weightlifting, it's gymnastics, it's strength, it's endurance, right? It's not just the game of tennis. It's not just endurance, right? or it's not just football. So they're seeing, all of these like modal domains, and it's very impressive and very intimidating, right? And so people think that, everybody that's in a CrossFit box has the capabilities to walk on their hands up and down stairs, which is simply not true,
Yeah.
Surely there are people that can do that, and there's a lot of people not even at that elite level. But we need to, especially like in our gym, we're much more focused on health than elite performance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think there's this like misunderstanding that people, like a lot of people think, and doctors think, okay, CrossFit, that means you're like competing, or it's like a competitive sport.
Competition all the time.
Yes, but it's not. It's like, I'm like sure like for 90% of like the boxes here in Berlin are just like, there for health and not for competing. And it's a totally different thing. Right? If you compete, but it's the same like when you're running a marathon, is that healthy?
Right.
Probably not, right? So is it like healthy to do like I don't know, like being under load always for like a max out? That's also not healthy, right? Like competing in a sport most of the time is not that healthy,
right?
But we are doing that sport for health, so that's totally different. And not everyone is doing the same movement. So having someone with shoulder issues, or like someone who's sitting a lot, who's like having his shoulders somewhere here, we are not teaching a kipping pull-up, because he or she needs to understand how to again activate the shoulders. You first of all need to strengthen that shoulders up before he's doing any kipping movements. So he will start with strict movements. And that's, I would just be happy if this like kind of like misunderstanding in like CrossFit would like change a bit, and like, people start to understand that we're doing that sport for health, like building strong, healthy, fit people for the real life out there, instead of everyone is just competing.
Right. I mean, if you look at kind of like the hierarchy, or it's not intensity first. Yeah. It's technique and fundamentals. Yeah. And then comes intensity. Then comes, heavier weights, right? It's not the other way around. We're not going to put somebody, John off the street who hasn't, done any sports since he was 20 years old, and put, 80 kilos on a bar and be like, clean it, or whatever. Yeah. So, we have to focus, and I think all coaches need to focus on health before anything else. Shoulder health, endurance health, heart health, any, lingering injuries before you do anything else. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just nice that we also have that like standards. Today I had a call with a member from us. She went to her doctor, and they kind of like figured out she has some problems with her calf as well, but not from training. It's just like coming from running. She wanted to start running, but she feels that there is always like something like happening in her body. So she kind of like tried to figure out what it is. And she was talking to her doctor, and she was like, yeah, that's great that you're doing CrossFit. Those movements are great for you. Try to focus on that. And then she came back and she asked like, okay, can we do PTs? So I need to work on, my doctor told me I need to work on this, that, and that. And like building up that standard in our gym, that people are coming to us and to ask for like working on that specific things. You usually maybe go to your like physio with that, that we have that standard, and people come back to us and ask us to help next to classes to work on that mobility, knee pain, shoulder pains, lower back issues. You have people in PTs with like spine problems, shoulder problems, like everything, right? And that's, I think, like the standard we want to build up is like people in like every situations, even if they don't want to go into a CrossFit class and they just need to do it by themselves or for themselves to get healthy, to help them. And that's the standard we like still building up with, and we are like trying to like learn from it and be better and better every day, right? And help our
members.
Absolutely. And I think like kind of just like bringing it around to what like the first word that I said was the long game.
Yeah.
This is how you stay in the long game, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, we were just talking about it. I mean, like, you know, some people do want to go into a gym and just kind of just like, let's get fucked up, you know, and have no concern about, well, what is this going to look like? You know, will I be able to do this 5 years from now? 1 year from now, if I keep up this level of intensity, how will that look? And I think that's for anybody that's like first starting out on, you know, coming into a CrossFit box, is, you know, you don't want to, it's like in a workout, it's like sometimes you can't start, you know, you can't be like the bat out of the gate, right? You have to really like know yourself, right? Know your limitations. Also, you know, does your body feel good today? Yeah, why not? I can train today. Or nope, it doesn't feel good today. Maybe I'll come to the class, but maybe I will not go so heavy.
Yeah.
Right? We need to be in it for the long game, because what happens if you're not is that, you know, by the time you're 70, 80 years old, you can't squat, guess what? You're dependent. Then you're in depends. No, hopefully not in depends, but you are dependent. And that's what we don't want. We don't want decrepitude, right? We want to stay fit, but we want to stay fit in the right way. And hopefully we want to have coaches that know how to steer us in the right direction and support us individually.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could, you know, start talking about nutrition as well in the long game. But I think maybe we could save that for another episode. But yeah, you know, we have to think about like, what is the long game effect, right? Is it the sport that you love so much that has injured you, right? Is it like the repetitive motion of the movement? You know, do you have to kind of maybe dial down the sport that you love and focus on, you know, PT or with a coach that can get you healthy again? Right now, I'm dealing with something with my back, and there's a lot of things that I can't do in workouts. So guess what? You know, you programmed something yesterday for me that I absolutely loved. And I know it was good for my back, right? It was moving me in the right direction. So, yeah, long game effect.
Yeah.
And get second opinions, right? Yeah. So important. Communicate with as many, you know, professionals as you can before you draw any conclusions of what is black or white, what you have to stop and what you have to continue, or what you should continue. So, yeah.
Cool.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was nice.
It was
yeah.
hearty conversation.
So, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I think what we want to just, like, talk out to the world, to, like, people who are not sure about what should I do, is that the right sport for me? Again, just go somewhere and talk to someone, and if you feel that you're, like, listening to and the coach knows, like, or understand what your focus and your goal is, then try it, right? Yeah. If it's just a gym, you feel like I just need to go there to do like CrossFit, and they don't really care about me and myself and my goal, then it's probably not the right place for you.
Right.
So try to go somewhere where people ask you what you want to do, why, what are your, like, what's your environment, what's realistic, and gives you the right introduction.
Yeah. I think it's important that when doctors are asking you questions, you're asking doctors questions, they should be asking you questions too, rather than just drawing conclusions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty.
Nice.
Cool. Well then, see you, next week.
Probably next week.
But we see each other every day, so. Till next week.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.